All right, we're following the latest on President Donald Trump's inauguration, of course. We're joined right now with San Diego Representative Sara Jacobs. She represents the 51st Congressional District here, and you're attending today's swearing in. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Yes, I attended today.
Yeah, was it a difficult decision to make to attend today, your party moving out of power in D.C.?
Obviously, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I don't agree with much of what he wants to do. But for me, it felt important to show up to bear witness. I think the peaceful transfer of power is one of the most important pieces of our democracy, and showing that we respect the results of the election, even when we don't like the outcome, and showing that we're willing to do that peaceful transfer of power, to me, is an incredibly important symbol as we move into a time when our institutions are going to be increasingly tested.
So President Trump, speaking of some of those big changes that you may or may not agree with, he's promising mass deportations of undocumented people in America, saying he plans to send troops to the border and declare a national emergency. It's estimated 150,000 undocumented people live in San Diego. What is your response to this plan for large-scale deportations?
I'm incredibly worried about what these mass deportations will mean for San Diego. We have a large immigrant community. We know how important our immigrant community is to our economy, to the fabric of our society, and really to making San Diego work. And so, especially because these are going to be unprioritized mass deportations, right? They're going to not necessarily prioritize criminals or others which are already prioritized for deportation. I'm really concerned about what this means. It's going to raise our cost of groceries. It's going to raise the cost of construction at a time when we need more housing, not to make it harder to build things. And especially given how many challenges we see all around the world, using our military troops to do this rather than DHS, whose mandate it is to protect the border, to me, is really problematic, because we need our military to be focused on our national security threats around the world.
Using that kind of force, how do you think this is going to play out? What are we going to actually see happen? Do you think this is going to be peaceful and orderly, or are there going to be major problems?
It's hard to know, but I do know that a lot of the ways that CBP and Border Patrol have been able to make the border more orderly, the Trump administration has actually taken away. So for instance, CBP One is an app that asylum seekers could use to schedule an appointment, so it wasn't just everyone coming to the border every single day. The Trump administration has taken that away. So they're actually taking away a lot of the tools that our border enforcement folks have to keep the border orderly, while asking them to also be doing this mass deportation.
So what does your role become then if this actually starts to happen in a manner that you're describing, kind of chaotic?
So look, our role is a fewfold. One, we're going to do oversight. We're going to make sure that the laws are followed, and that, as much as possible, this is being done in as humane a possible way, right? The second thing is, though, there's a number of Republicans who are in districts that this is really going to impact as well. And I'm going to try and find ways to work with them to mitigate the worst of these harms, right? We're not going to be able to protect everyone, but there are going to be places that we can push back and we can protect. And I'm going to keep working to find bipartisan ways to do that.
In a general term, how do you make it work in your job moving forward? You're now the minority party in Congress. Do you see any common ground where you'll be able to work with the incoming administration as well as the new Congress?
Look, I was elected by the people of San Diego to get things done for our community, and that's what I'm going to keep focusing on doing. So I see my role as twofold right now. One is to stand up to the really harmful things the Trump administration is going to do that's going to impact our community, like mass deportation, like a trans troop ban. But it's also to find ways and areas where we can still move things forward. The Trump administration has said they want to address cost of living. They haven't actually done anything on that. None of the executive orders are actually going to do that, but they say they want to do that. So great. Let's take their word on that. We know we need to address the cost of childcare. We need to address the cost of housing. Those are things I'm looking forward to finding Republican partners who may be able to work with us on things like AI, on some of our military quality of life issues. I think there will still be areas ways we can move the ball forward while we're standing up and protecting people where we have to.
You know, you did mention the bill that you introduced prohibiting a ban on transgender people serving in the military. Some Democrats have come out against those policies. How do you make this happen going against a lack of support in your own party and against a Congress that is run by Republicans as well as a Republican administration?
Look, I think it's easy to say, like, this is just about DEI, this is morality. The fact of the matter is this is about national security. Our troops, our military already has a recruitment and retention challenge. Many of the ships in San Diego are undermanned because we can't meet our recruitment and retention goals. And in recent years, every single branch of the military has had recruitment challenges. So the last thing we should be doing is turning away people who want to serve and otherwise would be eligible to serve our military because of their gender identity or sexual orientation. We already have thousands of service members who are trans. And if Donald Trump were to kick them out of the military, it would cost around $18 billion and 20 years of training to replace the expertise that we would lose with kicking those people out of the military. People we have invested money in training who want to serve our country. So to me, this is not about a morality thing. This is about our national security and our readiness and the fact that we should be letting anyone who wants to serve our country who's able to actually do it.
All right, Representative Jacobs, one more question before we let you go. Maybe a moment of reflection. It was a bad election for Democrats. Why do you think Democrats lost both, all three, the House, Senate, and the presidency in 2024? What do you need to fix moving forward?
Look, I think everyone in San Diego knows that the cost of living is too high. And that's something I've been talking about since I got elected. And we're now starting to see that across the country. And frankly, it took Democrats too long to address that issue, right? For a lot of folks in office, they came of age in the early 2000s. Unemployment was the thing. And even though unemployment is really low, for a lot of folks, they have a job, they still can't afford the basics needed for life. And so I think making sure we're really understanding people and what they're going through, not trying to tell them that what they're experiencing isn't real and that the economy is good because the numbers look good. And then also meeting people where they are, whether that's in person or on all the various forms of social media and internet that people use now, and making sure that they're actually hearing our message, that they understand that we're people and we care about them and we want to try and find solutions.
51st Congressional District Representative Sara Jacobs, thank you so much for your time. A lot of challenges, a lot of work ahead of you in what's, I'm sure, going to be an interesting time, but we appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Thanks so much.